one of probably the misconceptions is it's a silver bullet for everybody. You hear everybody just talk about, bring it up. Oh, let's just throw AI into it. Let's just do this.
You could check it on Monday, but by Friday, there are a whole lot of new features, capabilities. It's really moving quickly. Even look at the AI video generators. They are making leaps. It wouldn't surprise me in 10 years if we're watching Netflix and requesting the type of script that we want.
I'll add in there is a caveat. Like, again, that's like a demo video that we've seen that OpenAI has released. Like, have you tried it yourself yet? Have you actually used it or experimented with it yet? These demos look so impressive always, but like, I don't know, every time I try some of these solutions out, it's kind of like they're quite limited.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Impact's very first podcast, episode 1. I want to introduce really quick our purpose and what we do and the topic, of course, for today. To give a brief intro on Impact, we are a product strategy, a UX design and development agency. We've been around for about 20 years, basically started in Chicago and currently headquarters in Austin, Texas. We have a team of about 25 people at the moment. We help with companies that are looking to upgrade and really improve their software for their applications, the user experience, to product strategy, to actually execution. And we've been around all different industries. You name it, we've probably been in it. And want to introduce two of my leads, Brindley Evans. He's been with us for...
Hey, everyone.
You've been with us for about, 20 years? And
it's been a long road. It's been a good road. But wow, we've seen some things. And I think that's why we kicked this off. I mean, there's stories to tell. There's knowledge to share. So I'm keen to be a part of it. I was going to take the lead on this one, but yeah, looking at what I'm doing now with Impact, building up all that experience over the last 20 years and now looking at more kind of a UX analyst role with our clients, really helping them to understand opportunities and realize those opportunities right through from ideation through design to development. So it's exciting times. And I think what we're going to be unpacking today is particularly exciting. That's enough about me.
Well, I want to say one thing though. Remember, our very first major project was with a small little company called Mystery Marvel Oil, who's owned by Turtle Wax. What we had to do was build a virtual garage in Flash.
I do. That was quite something. There was a bit of Art Deco architecture thrown in. It was good. 3D modeling. Wow, and the user experience on top of that.
Oh yeah,
that was some time.
That was great.
I even remember the Flash Rolodex that we did. That was another thing that, like, bringing something retro into Flash, which was cutting edge at that time, and which has long been buried. Those are memories.
Yeah, to say Flash was cutting edge. Yeah,
I know, blast from the past.
It was.
Cool, and I'll introduce our second person here is Joe Kraft. You've been with us for, I think, about 4.5 years?
Pretty much, yeah.
What's going on?
5, yeah.
You are our solutions architect, .NET, C# engineer, and obviously also with one of our longest running clients, and you're assimilating the Borg, AI.
Trying to tame it, but yeah, it's interesting. But yeah.
That's your modesty, Joe. Joe's already 110% on top of it.
With that, I just want to welcome everybody to the show. And then, one of our, the hot topics, obviously, for discussion today is obviously AI. And just, whether businesses are considering integrating AI into their software applications. There's some hesitations and frictions that are involved. This is a hot topic. And so it's something that we want to kick off with our first podcast.
And I think if we kind of think back, what it was a year ago, just over a year ago, ChatGPT came out and I think just blew everyone's mind. I can remember the first time I thought, well, let's throw some things at it. Let's ask it to write a poem and just being really blown away and just going, this is incredibly game-changing technology. And I think we all had our own kind of experiences with that, where you just realize the power that that it offers, and the potential for business. And I think that's what's kind of excited us all and got us, into implementing it and seeing what it can do for our clients. I guess it's with that we sort of look at what are the myths that our listeners could be thinking about and could be sitting with. What's false, what's true. That sort of thing.
Exactly. Also, just the general perception of AI as it's changed over the years. It's just changed so much from 5 years ago to now, and to what's actually happening with it as a term. It's morphed into something completely different. What used to be a very specialized sort of academic, or very specialized science has now become mainstream technology. And now every business is trying to jump on almost like a bandwagon around it, and then blanketing everything as AI. Interesting to sort of go through that timeline to individually sort of see how we've all seen it evolve, and what it means now. And yeah, just the total sort of misconceptions around what it can do. And another kind of question, which is a big question because it's actually coming up quite a bit, but it's a whole topic in itself, is, would we even be in an AI bubble right now in terms of how people are using AI? I think it has very specific good use cases, but it's just being used for everything right now. So it's kind of getting a term that's being called a bubble, and, will it burst? But that's kind of more of like a tech industry perception or concern around it. But yeah, unpacking that, I think, is important too, what that actually means.
I think, maybe just to kick it off with our topics, I think one of probably the misconceptions is it's a silver bullet for everybody. You hear everybody just talk about, bring it up, oh, let's just throw AI into it. Let's just do this. Obviously, with both of you helping one of our clients actually involved with this, it's not a silver bullet. It's not something you can just start entering in. And, obviously, if you want a simple chatbot, maybe, but that's not what we're seeing. I don't know if you guys can talk a little bit more about that.
Well, it's interesting because I think AI is sort of grouped, under. There's so many facets to it, and everyone's sort of, well, AI. They're almost talking about it as a single entity, or a single product, or the single solution, when it's multifaceted, multidisciplined. When someone references AI, what are they talking about? Are they talking about an NLP, which is a natural language processor, or are they referring to neural networks, or what is it? And I think there's a sort of blanket AI term that has just come across, and is that a silver bullet? Well, depends what you need to do with it. Is it an amazing tool to use in a number of different scenarios? If you pick the right tech stack and make the right selections, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you can use an analogy that AI has become kind of like a workshop. You can think of it that just has loads of tools inside it, tools for every sort of purpose. Some work really well for very specific scenarios. So if you want to like hammer nails into a wall, and you go up to a guy who says, oh, I'm the AI workshop, and it's like, cool, can you hammer this nail into the wall? It's like, well, what exactly are your nails? Like, what tool can we use for that? Okay, we got a hammer. That's the perfect tool for this. But if you just go in without the understanding of all the tools available to you, and you're just looking at the AI workshop, it can be very disorientating, very confusing to go, okay, well, which is the right tool of that? Because they're all very specific. They have very specific niche uses. Some are really good at certain things. And you have to sort of be able to figure that out and navigate that landscape of what's available. And I think from someone just sort of looking at a product that says it's using AI, again, that's like saying a mechanic has a workshop. Okay, but like, what is he actually doing in that workshop? What is he building? Like, what tools did they use to actually build their products? And that is always vague. It's always ambiguous. You can go to any website that says they use AI. And if you try and look into it and go, okay, well, what AI are they actually using? Like, they say that they can do all these maybe predictions and market analysis, but that's what they'll say. And we're using AI, and it's sort of pulled into this buzzword. And as a consumer of that, you just totally unaware of, okay, well, is this even like the right tool for my purposes? Will it actually fit my use case? And I think the big challenge is figuring out, okay, well, how can we make those tools more clear what they do? And especially the tools that we're getting really good experience in. How do we navigate outside of that bubble of a workshop of AI and say, okay, well, we're actually really good at these tools and we have good experience in that. And I think that for any sort of company dealing with AI, needs to sort of figure out how to get that get that out there. Outside of, and sort of like break out outside of like, we use AI and actually say, oh no, we use generative answers for like a very specific purpose for, understanding, documentation or something like that. And that's a very niche field and it works really well with that, but we're using the really good tools for that too. And how do we get that message out?
Are you using
Absolutely.
AI right now for your eye tracking there, Joe?
No. Shit. But no. That doesn't work well. You see, that's actually a bad tool. It sounds good. And, if you go to an investor and you go, oh, cool, we got this great technology that like, makes everyone's eyes track perfectly to the camera and, give us, billions in funding. But the demo that they saw was under perfect conditions. This is another problem I've kind of noticed with AI. Whenever you see demos of what the technology is, that little niche demo can look so impressive and it looks like magic, but it just works for that small example that they've shown. And as soon as you try and break out of that and start getting it to do more things or try and manipulate it in a different way, it just falls apart really quickly. Like with that eye tracking software I was using. Sounds cool. And if the lighting is perfect in the room and if I'm positioned really well and I'll be looking at the camera perfectly all the time, great. But 90% of the time, my eyes are switching around and doing different things. And yeah, it's just, again, kind of like, that's the unfortunate thing with the industry too, is there's so many kind of gimmicky AI solutions just thrown out there, and you'll look at a YouTube video and you'll be like, wow, this is amazing. And then once people try it, it doesn't work well. And again, that's just the perception of AI then sort of taking a downward turn in their perception of, what AI can do for them. And they go, oh, I've tried AI, it didn't really work that well for me. It's like, oh, well, that's totally not what we're doing or what this can do or something else can do. That's just like a very niche area of it.
Or the question would be, how long ago did you look? Because I know, Joe, what we've seen in the last year is a huge forward push in terms of capabilities and feature releases from a lot of the major sort of software companies. So you could check it on Monday, but by Friday there are a whole lot of new features, capabilities. It's really moving quickly. So when you think of that bubble, well, maybe there is it almost feels like we're talking about greenwashing, where, 10, 15 years ago, everyone was like, well, go green and do this. And everyone was throwing it on everything. But I feel the difference is the speed at which it's moving. Even look at the AI video generators. They are making leaps and bounds. I mean, we're not far away from generating full feature film kind of movies based on your keywords. And it wouldn't surprise me in 10 years if we're watching Netflix and requesting the type of script that we want and type of movie.
But again, I'll add in there is a caveat. Again, that's a demo video that we've seen that OpenAI has released. Have you tried it yourself yet? Have you actually used it or experimented with it yet? And it's these demos look so impressive always, but I don't know, every time I try some of these solutions out, it's kind of they're quite limited. And again, so many of them are really good though. That's a frustrating thing. That's kind of the point I'm trying to get across. There's some applications of AI that are so good and it's really good at some specific things, but other things people try and sort of make it work and they come up with a cool idea and they try and get it there and it works again in that niche situation, which gets a lot of interest. But when it's actually tried to turn it into a product and more people get eyes in it, it kind of falls apart. But yeah, it's all about perception at the moment.
Yeah, I think what some of the points that you touched on. Obviously, it's almost like the internet bubble boom back then, where everybody was having a website. If you had a website, you had millions of dollars coming at you because you had some kind of e-commerce website. So it's almost like that kind of pendulum has swung this way for AI, and you're going to see a lot of vaporware, a lot of things that may look like AI or has some type of, algorithm and they throw AI as it's AI. And so, you've seen this in recent news with Amazon, their stores that are fully automated. Turns out it's not the case. They have a team, I think, offshore in India or somewhere where they're typing away. We had a client actually look at supposed AI technologies, and it turns out it was a large person team in the Philippines, which was doing the AI for that, which was interesting. And we did the evaluation. We thought it was vaporware, but they didn't listen to us. So, that's something that a lot of companies are just, they're just jumping on that bandwagon, and maybe it's part of that lack of expertise, that they just don't have the in-house people to understand the difference between what is real AI and what isn't.
Yeah, I think even with like the Amazon thing, I think that's kind of the same kind of point where someone originally developed it. It looked really good. It started working really well for like small scale demos. And normally when you build something small, or you build a POC or a prototype, you can kind of see, okay, if it's working for this small use case and we scale it out, will it work for other scenarios? And if it doesn't, we just build in the logic to make it work for those other scenarios. The problem with AI is that because it's kind of a large language model, a lot of it is just kind of magic. You don't really know what's going on inside that model to get that answer to you. It might work for a few smaller cases, but when you try and scale it out and try and use it for more purposes or different environments and different scenarios, it starts showing cracks, and you can't repair those cracks really easily because, again, it's just kind of a black box, and it could work for some small niche cases, but not for a larger point. So for something like Amazon, what they probably did is, yeah, it works in their sort of a niche use cases, but they realized, well, we got to fill in these cracks, and okay, let's just get staff for now to fill in those cracks as we try and build it out ourselves and to try and figure out how we can work around this with the actual AI. And they obviously eventually reached a point where they're like, well, we just can't, it's just sort of limping along with staff, maintaining it, to sort of keeping it going. But that last like 30% that we needed AI to cover, we just couldn't get there. So yeah, I think you have to, whenever you're looking at AI solution, just think of it in terms of that. Like if the technology is right now can do something, don't think that you can expand that out for it can do everything. It can probably only do that small thing. And sometimes that small thing is great. That's exactly what you need. And it serves a great purpose, but just keep it to that. You've got to keep yourself kind of contained to what it can do. And again, view it as a single tool doing a single job for that specific use case, and don't think you can just jump over to other use cases really easily, because yeah, that's where you can quite go wrong quite quickly.
We're still sitting on really powerful, like we look at NLPs, just focus on those, the way they're advancing their capabilities, their understanding. We've seen as we've progressed, even if you look at one of the models like the ChatGPT, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5 sort of turbo, the capabilities we're seeing are improving all the time. Yeah. It's really a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, looking at that, and I know a lot of people, depends on who you speak to, everyone's got a different view on it, and different view whether, they have a bias towards it, against it. They never want to look at it. They want to completely integrate it into everything. And I think that's where, looking at these assumptions is fun. And I'm keen to dive into that and sort of see, well, what are the 10 sort of assumptions we've mapped out, and are those myths, or can we kind of verify them as some sort of truth? So I don't know, Makoto, if you want to jump in, or you have anything else to. I'm just cutting to the chase here, but I'm keen to jump into those and do some podcasting kind of myth busting.
All right, let's do it.
What are you going to be saving by implementing this? If you've got staff and it's going to allow them to work X percentage more efficiently, what does that look like in terms of your saving?